Hi, this is Gwen Reyes with the Dallas International Film Festival. I am here with About Mom and Dad filmmaker RachelShepherd and a couple of her cast members. Thank you guys so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Yay! Well, I was just mentioning earlier that you guys look like you should be auditioning for an episode of Glee right now. And then that sent us on a whole sad thing because apparently you were supposed to be Finn.
Yeah. And Glee naturally leads to Philip Seymour Hoffman, so that's
I know, yeah, totally morbid.
It's full circle.
I would have loved to see Philip Seymour Hoffman do an episode of Glee, like if he was James Franco and he was like, I just gotta sing,
do
man.
that. Yeah.
He comes in like he's like the new soccer coach or something. No, Philip, I miss him. So let's talk a little bit about Mom and Dad, because this is a very personal film for you. It's based off your own true story.
It is.
Why did you want to kind of tell this story?
Well, marriages in cinema are always this big fairy tale, and at this point in this day and age, I feel like independent film is leaning way towards realism. Mm-hmm. There's this whole archetype right now of independent film, realism, real stories, and I really hadn't seen, even in independent film, a real marriage love story. And growing up, I always thought my parents had the greatest love story. I mean, I had idealized them. I had thought that was the perfect fairy tale. And then in my 20s, they had a kind of something that pratfalls that happen in any marriage. My dad was cheated on my mom. There's not a nice way to say that.
No.
But he cheated on my mom, and somehow they worked through it and got through it. And a couple years later, I sat down and asked them what happened, and I thought this would make a great film. And then my dad had always told me, write what you know, and I kind of went with that. But, I mean, they've been really supportive, and they're glad that kind of real family dynamic is on the screen now. Mm-hmm. They're really happy with it.
And have they had a chance to see it?
They have. I sat everyone down on Thanksgiving.
Oh, of course.
Of course, because the booze flows on Thanksgiving at my house, Casa de Shepherd and Gibson. And so my whole family sat down. And honestly, the people that it bothered more than anything were my siblings, because they had also seen this fairy tale marriage, and then it was kind of shattered when you have to face that again. Yeah. But it started a conversation, and it helped with healing, I think, in ways that before we really hadn't done. And my dad cried, and my mom compared it to the Last Picture Show, which, because she's my mom, I'm like, no, Mom, I love you, but no, I'm not that good yet. So.
Well, and I think it's so, you mentioned that there's the catharsis and the ability now that it's been seen by your family and you're able to kind of have this conversation. But then it's got to feel sort of hard to kind of look at it and embrace it as much as you've had to, staring at the story for so long.
Yeah, telling the story, again, it was one of those things that felt, when I have a script and it gets in my brain and it ticks at me until I put it out, and then I can sleep. I can't sleep until I make that art. And I didn't know how much this event in my life had impacted me, even though, because I was getting married or engaged when this event happened in my real life. And so I dramatized that, and the youngest daughter in the film is getting married when this happens. Mm-hmm. And so it's one of those things, you have to face those relationships. And yeah, I had to get it out. It was a cathartic moment. And I felt like I needed to put myself in it too. So I dramatized the kids I created, but really they're all parts of me. I have 4 siblings. In the film, there are only 3 siblings. But it's really about how, when you idealize your parents, when you look at those relationships, how that impacts you and how your relationships are affected by the relationships that you see. Yeah. And how you grow up.
And when that shatters, that's like.
And when that shatters, and then you realize, oh my goodness, I'm making the same mistakes. And then your parents realize you're making the same mistakes, and they're only trying to love you by changing things, but then you feel like they're meddling, and it becomes this whole thing. Yeah. So the film's really about family, I think, and a real family. Again, I try to tell these fly on the wall stories, especially about Texas, because that's what I'm familiar with. And I mean, I've said before in several interviews this week that Texas might as well be on another planet, and I don't mean that in any kind of negative way. We have this whole melting pot of people that in cinema, everyone thinks Texas is, we wear cowboy hats and we eat steak and ride bulls, but the truth of the matter is we have all kinds of people here.
Never gain a pound.
It's such a big state, and it takes up so much of America that really you have every single kind of person here.
So true. Well, I want to jump over to you three and talk about your characters. Can you introduce who they are and what their character is?
Sure. Ryan Ripple, my longtime friend, wonderful actor, plays Jake. Katie Rowe behind me plays Sarah in the film, the eldest sister. Jake is the youngest brother. And Alicia Ravel right behind me plays Kim in the film, who's getting married.
Sister, yeah.
So you might want to start
So
with that.
it's like a sibling reunion right now.
It is.
Yeah.
It is because he moved to LA, so we hardly ever see him, and we see him
Big
now.
family reunion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big family reunion.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen him in almost a year.
So you guys were friends before you did the film, obviously, or no?
No.
No, that's you. So how did you get that sibling bond to kind of work on screen?
Honestly, I think what it was is we shot on location, and so we were all staying in little condos, girls in one and guys in the other, and then we had a crew house, and we stayed out there for 12 days, right?
Yeah.
We shot in Bridgeport, Runaway Bay, and Jacksboro, Texas, which is kind of north of Fort Worth.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also small town.
Yes.
So all we had to do
And I
was
had no signal.
hang out with each
So
other.
all
Yeah.
I had was these guys,
Yeah.
right? And we bonded, and we knew that there were going to be like long days, long hours. So we didn't ever get angry at each other, like, oh, I'm seeing you again, or don't talk to me.
I mean,
we
maybe.
were together. We understood that we're like, this is it. We're working, and then we just made the best out of it. And
Yeah, it was a
totally
great
bonded.
cast and crew.
Yeah.
It was just easygoing and fun.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're in the middle of nowhere, I mean, not, with all due respect, it's a great, cute,
There's nothing wrong with saying middle
cute
of
towns,
nowhere.
but it's
Yeah.
the middle of nowhere. It's 30 minutes to the nearest Starbucks, which is how we judge any sort of
Okay,
yeah,
civilization,
okay.
right?
That is true.
So kind of all you have to do after you film all day with each other is go back to the condos and hang out with each other and drink a lot, basically.
Very little Wi-Fi, very little cell reception.
None.
No,
That
so
None.
sounds
Reception.
amazing.
Yeah. So all we
amazing.
did
Best
was
way
go
ever.
back and hang out with each other and drink, basically. So I mean, what
I think
quicker way to get closer to people than to be
I
drunk
think
together?
I was like the only person with cell reception.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Everyone else.
So I was like, let me check my Instagram. Give me your phone.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I live in Runaway Bay, which is a retirement golf lake community. It's fantastic.
Yes.
My husband, who is a physician, works in Jacksboro, so we shot at that hospital. So again, it definitely is middle of nowhere. Not only Starbucks, it's 30 minutes to the next Walmart.
Yeah.
And when you're in a
Yeah.
small town that has no Walmart near it, you're like...
But that sounds like
Yeah.
such a great charm, and it allows
Yeah,
for
it
like
was so
Very
charming.
much.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's nice.
The people
Yeah.
there were amazing.
So much of the community got involved in the film, as far as extras, providing food, the crew house was a lady I know from church, Marcia Ellison, who let us use her house, which is a beautiful, like 6,000 square feet house. The crew was sleeping on beds and air mattresses, and she gave all of her rooms up. We got the condos donated by the Warrior Golf Company, who run the local country club. I mean, and they really came out to support a Texas film with everyone had Texas ties. Everything's local. I only shoot local with local people. That'll be the way it is forever.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask because you and I had a chance to work on a film a few years ago together, and that was like I remember that being such a passionate part of you of like wanting to do local and wanting to cast local and work local, and for you guys as actors, like did you kind of enjoy that feeling of knowing that you were kind of working for a local project, or were you just like this story is just so great and I have to tell it?
Yeah.
Well, both, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, just working with her, she is so passionate about all of it, and she's so talented, and I think it was just, I don't know.
Working with local talent, and it's a community. I mean, we go to audition. I see her there, and I know we're auditioning for the same role, but it doesn't feel like a competition because I know if she gets this role, I'm gonna get the next one.
one. Yep.
Seriously, that's how it goes, and it's fun. I'll see her, I'm like, oh my God, how are you? What's going on? And it's not a competition. I'm
Yeah.
not jealous. So, working with Texas talent, it's like a big, huge family. You recognize people you haven't seen in a few months, and you're like, what are you working on? It's good to see you.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's hard to get that small town feel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what Texas is. Like, that's how people are in Texas. They're
Yeah.
just nice, and you can get that feeling in the people helping out. Like, if you can be a part of that, like, it's so great.
So
Yeah.
And I can always
family.
tell as like an audience member watching a film that is supposed to be about a small town or small intimate story, and it's like you can tell the filmmaker has no understanding.
Oh,
Right.
where they are.
Or
Yeah.
like
yeah.
the cast has no idea.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
shot it in the
Anyone
Catskills.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
they're like, you could see them even just like prancing through the mud a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're like, guys, can you work through that?
Yeah, but
I don't believe you.
it's always such, the community stays so small, which is so cool. Like, it's not small, but it's a very intimate community, and I feel like everyone knows each other and supports each other. So even like I live in LA now, but I grew up here, and I didn't move to LA until about 5 years ago. So I met Rachel on Brotherhood, the set of Brotherhood. So that there was a lot of people that I had met on Brotherhood that were also in the film. Chad Hallbrook is in the film as well. So it's a community that stays very small and stays very supportive and has each other's back. So that's also something I feel like that comes across
Well,
as well.
I think you can, in LA, like you can get lost in that. People are, it's like a vanity thing. I think here people want to work and they put in the hours and they want to be on set, and it's just like a family.
And that's not to say, I mean, this is a union film as far as SAG, but I mean, I use the same crew pretty much. I keep the same crew for every film. And Brett Curry has shot all of my movies. He was the DP on this film. And it's one of those things where it's a dance, you know, and you can start to know where you move, they're going to move. And the same way I collect actors like I collect, you know, knickknacks. You know, you love this talent, and well, let me explain it. You love this talent, and so you're like, I don't have a role for them now, but I know that I'm going to have something for them. And I try to make these ensemble films. I try to make these Texas films, and you know, I may be defined as a Texas director, but it's not that. I'm a director. I just shoot here because everything I need is here, you know, and that's what's so great about the Dallas Film Festival. It's that they, again, I will say it every time, it's an independent film directors festival, because they really show you, the access for you and the fans, or you and the moviegoer, it's right there, you know, and it's not
real
like
life
that.
Twitter.
It really is, and it's not just,
Hashtag
you know,
OMG.
the film's not done. The film's not done until I can show it to an audience member, and whether they like it or not, that doesn't matter to me, as long as we can have a discussion. But I hope they're moved in some way. It's not going to be for everyone, you know, but I want to know why they didn't like it, so it can I can improve on it next time. Or if it's not the story, I'm not for them, you know. But then I know that they've gone to cinema and had an appreciation of it one way or the
And
other.
they came out, and that's what's the best
And they
part.
came out. And that's
So my question is, the film premieres during the festival. What are the dates that people can come and see it?
About Mom and Dad premieres on Friday, April 4th at 4:30, and then we have another screening at the Angelica, and we have another screening Thursday, 7:45 at the Angelica. as well.
Great.
Thursday, April 10th.
You're never leaving from the Angelica.
Never. It's perfect. It's like right
I'm
in
camped
my
out there
backyard.
now.
Yeah.
I swear.
You're in two places.
I'm in my car just waiting.
It's like you went to see Conan again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Rachel, thank you guys so much.
Thank
This was
you.
wonderful. You guys were just so cute and adorable.
We try.
Awesome. Thank
This
you.
is where we break into song.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Slurpee.
Yeah.